Hey guys, it's me again, Rian from Rian and Play, and today in this video, we're gonna focus on continuing my series for my post-plant molly lineups for Killjoy that I use. Now in this video, we're gonna focus on the map Haven, and without further ado, let's get on with the video. Now, before anything else, just a disclaimer again, I'm gonna go ahead and repeat myself over and over again, just to make sure that we're on the same page. You don't want to rely on these molly lineups on every single round that you have. Again, there's a caveat to these lineups. Basically, you will only use these lineups if you know that you are outskilled and outgunned and basically you are outnumbered. So it's how you're gonna play into these lineups, how it's gonna be effective. Okay? So we're good. Okay, so for the first Molly lineup, we're gonna focus on A side here in Haven. So for my play group, our default plant spot would be right
Here,
over here.
I dropped the spike.
Right over there. Now, this lineup can be used for any position actually, for any spot. You can be
Here,
over here or over
here,
here or over here basically.
here.
But there's gonna be some form of adjustment. So our default plant spot for my play group would be always right over here because it's an open plant spot. It can be easily peeked through long and also here at sewers. So the first lineup would be right over here, right at this corner. You don't have to jump. Just place yourself over at this corner. Use your user interface as a guide. So the guide for this one is over here, right over here. This tip of the user interface for the HP, just line it up to this flower design on this wall right here. If you throw your
Placing
molly,
swarm grenade.
that position, it's gonna land right over here.
Swarm grenade out.
Right where our default plant spot is. So this covers this whole area. What if the one who's holding the spike planted it
Here.
over here or over
Here.
here? So this is where it's gonna change a bit. So for example,
I dropped the spike.
spike was planted right over there. You can actually adjust this lineup by placing the UI over here. This the tip of the user interface for the HP. Over here, just raise it up a bit. So it's gonna line up to this line on the wall and over onto this panel.
Placing
You throw
swarm
your
grenade.
molly, that placement, it's gonna land right over there.
Swarm grenade out.
So it's gonna be a matter of adjusting the trajectory of your molly, but basically the guide would be this user interface, the tip of the interface for the HP, and this wall right here. So say if the molly or the spike was planted over here, you just gotta adjust it further to the left a bit. So it's gonna take a
Placing
bit of
swarm
practice, but it's always going to land over there.
Swarm grenade out.
So if the spike was planted over here, they will still get hit. Okay. So another variation of that for the default plant spot for my
I got
play
the
group
spike.
would be
I dropped the spike.
over here at this spot at A link. If you place yourself over onto this
Here.
corner, you can go ahead and place your crosshair right over here. Throw your molly,
Placing swarm grenade.
and that's going to land right over there.
Swarm grenade out.
Now, normally when we're attacking, this is going to be the usual scenario. I'm always the one holding the spike, and I will be going at long. Okay? Now, before anything else, I would be leaving an alarm bot right over here.
Alarm bot out.
Now, that's just going to cover this area if someone's flanking, and it's really just for information. Now, before we go and take sight, I will be placing a turret right over here to check if someone is at heaven or is at hell.
Here.
If my turret doesn't spot anyone, I'll go ahead and
Back.
recall my turret
I dropped the spike.
and then proceed to plant either over here
Spike's
or
here.
over here. As soon as we have taken sight, I have two variations for the turret. One is over here, which is fairly niche,
Turret out.
and basically that covers this spot. If someone goes to sewers, turret will actually see them. If someone tries to go to heaven, surprise, turret will actually see them. So this is just to gather information. It's not to really get off any kills, but really it's just to gather information where the enemies might be. Another spot where I like to place my turret is right over here. Right at this,
Placing sentry.
right at the top of that box. This also achieves the same thing. It covers sewers. It also covers A-Link entrance. And the alarm bot,
Calling my bot.
it would always be placed right over here at A lobby. So say if I'm the one lurking, most likely I'm not the one having, or I'm not the one who has the spike with me. I would go ahead and lurk over to B site. I would ask them, of course, to place this, to plant the spike over there. And I will work my way over to a link. What I do is I'll place an alarm bot right over here.
Placing alarm bot.
I'll place a turret right over there.
Placing sentry.
And this actually achieves two things. One is if someone pushes a link going to B, turret will spot them. If someone tries to push from this side, turret will also spot them. Someone tries to push from mid courtyard, basically alarm bot will actually see them, or the alarm bot will get triggered and I will be alerted to where the enemies are. So as soon as I hear the spike getting diffused, I will go ahead and throw my molly, wait for the trajectory to vanish from my screen,
Swarm grenade out.
recall my
Swarm
bots,
grenade out.
and then I have the choice to either go
Yeah.
to A site from A link or go to heaven. So basically that's how I execute my attacks here at A site. Now we're gonna move on over to C site, basically to continue off with the video. Alright, so we're still here at Haven, but this time around we're at C site, and there's two ways of us how we actually try to take C site. Basically we either rush it or we play for picks. Now when we're rushing it, basically I am the one who's holding the spike. I will go ahead and take the C long route, and whenever I do, I will just go ahead and place my turret right over here. And this does nothing fancy, it's just really for information gathering for anyone who's trying to flank from this side. And as soon as we have cleared the site from this angle and that angle, I'll go ahead and take this side of the map, clear this angle, and also anyone who's might be over here. After doing so, I'll go ahead and place an alarm bot right over there. Now, when we're playing for picks, basically, I will take point of garage. I'll either be leaving a turret right over at this spot. This covers anyone who's trying to push from this side, or anyone who's covering from, or anyone who's lurking from this side. And it's gonna be the same thing. As soon as I've cleared the site, I'll go ahead and place an alarm bot right over here, right at this stairs, basically, and we take site. Now, default plant zone for my play group usually is right over here, right at the very edge of the plant zone, and that's because it is a fairly open spot and it's a bit closer. It's easier to aim anyone who's trying to defuse the spike from this angle. Now the first molly lineup for C site is gonna be right over at this corner. Now remember, we do have a turret right over here that we can use. As soon as we've taken the site, if I pushed from garage, I would immediately recall my turret as soon as I'm about to plant the spike. Now I'll go ahead and position myself right over here at this corner, and using my interface again for my molly right over here at this very brick right here, this black brick right over here, line it up to the tip of this user interface for your molly. When you've done so, you throw your molly, it's gonna land right over there, and that covers anyone who's trying to defuse the spike from that spot. You do have a variation. Same spot, but rather than placing your crosshair above this brick, place it below it. And you can actually adjust it via a jump throw.
Placing swarm grenade.
What that does is that it actually
Placing swarm grenade.
places your
Swarm
molly
grenade out.
a bit further,
Swarm grenade out.
but it is a bit inconsistent. So I only do that if we planted the spike right over at this spot right here.
I dropped the spike.
Now,
I got the spike.
you do have options. If the spike was planted over there, you can actually continue your lurking shenanigans, basically. Go throw
Placing
a
swarm grenade.
swarm grenade. As soon as the trajectory is
Placing
gone,
swarm grenade.
go
Swarm
ahead
grenade
and
out.
throw your second one, and you can actually
Swarm grenade out.
go ahead and move over to garage. As soon as you're over here, though,
Here.
you need to immediately walk and switch to your primary weapon. And by the time you peak this angle, the molly would have already ended, and that gives you ample amount of time to go play a ring around the rosy with anyone who's defusing the spike, basically. Now, again, default plant spot is right over there. The second molly lineup is gonna be right over here at C-Link, basically. Right over here. Now, if I'm doing my lineups right from this corner, I'll go ahead and place my turret right over
Placing
here,
sentry.
and my alarm bot
Placing
right
alarm
over there.
bot.
This covers a few spots, basically. Anyone who's trying to push from C site, turret will actually see them. Anyone who's here at spawn, turret will also see them. And anyone, obviously, who's pushing from garage, the turret will see them. Anyone who's trying to push from mid courtyard, or anyone basically trying to push from B side, alarm bot will actually take care of them in hopes of alerting you where they are. Okay, so now for the lineup, basically we're going to again use the interface as a guide. Now, if you jam yourself
Here.
right at this corner, you can actually use this part of the interface as a guide right over here. This one, this line right over here. Align that over to this part of the roof. Once you've
Placing
done
swarm
so,
grenade.
that molly's gonna land right over there.
Swarm grenade out.
So it doesn't matter if the spike was planted over here or over here.
Yeah.
That molly lineup covers that area, basically. Now, what I would normally do is I would go ahead and throw a molly
Placing
right over
swarm
there.
grenade.
Wait for the trajectory to vanish from my
Placing
screen.
swarm grenade. Swarm
And I have the
grenade
choice to just either
out. Swarm
go
grenade
for
out.
garage or go for C-Link. By the time you peeked over here, molly is already done, and basically you can go ahead and guard the spike from this angle or from that angle.
Here.
Alright, now for B side here at Haven, I don't really have a lineup. There are fancy lineups on other channels or on other YouTube videos that would actually have you run through from this
Placing
angle,
swarm
but
grenade.
I don't really recommend it.
Swarm
See?
grenade out.
This only covers this part of
Here.
B side, and it kind of exposes you from where you are actually. It exposes you to your enemies where your position is because you're doing a running throw. Now, if ever that we are going for B side, I will go ahead and just place a turret right over here.
Placing sentry.
And I would either place an alarm bot right over there or right over here. Either at A-Link or C-Link. If I'm placing an alarm bot right
Placing
over
alarm
here,
bot.
I would go ahead and lurk from B side going to A and vice versa, basically. If I'm
Bot
the
coming
one
back.
who's going to guard windows, I would immediately retreat over to this spot and I'll place an alarm bot right over here.
Alarm bot out.
And I'm just gonna guard this angle. If someone tries to defuse the molly, what I would do is, or if someone's trying to defuse the spike, our default, by the way, our default plant spot is right over here.
I dropped the spike.
Always right over here or right
Spike's
over
here.
at that corner. If someone tries to defuse, I just go ahead and throw a molly
Placing swarm grenade.
like so.
Swarm grenade out.
Very simple but fairly effective at what you're trying to do. Alright, so that's gonna be it for today's video. Sadly, I don't have enough clips of me successfully pulling off these Molly lineups while I'm in an actual match, primarily because as soon as we have taken site, we always end up killing everyone before I get to do these lineups, or I end up dying before I before I get to place myself on those positions. But anyway, I do have some clips of me trying to pull off the lineups here at Haven. Probably I'll go ahead and compile all of my Molly lineup videos or clips that I've captured and upload them into one whole video sometime in the future. That said, on the next guide, we'll focus on the map bind. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you like the content, please consider subscribing. I will be churning out more Killjoy guides in the future. And yeah, thank you so much for your support. I hope you're healthy. I hope you're safe. And I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye, guys.